Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. It's a pleasure to be on this distinguished panel to further discuss what's going on in Detroit and the role that sports will play in all of that. Um, I've always been very appreciative of the role that sports and the ability of sports to bring people together, to bridge gaps, and to create the allegiances that we so much enjoy. This will be our last session of the morning, and we figure what better way to finish this up. We know how expats connect through Detroit, connect to Detroit through sports teams and the allegiances that I mentioned earlier, both professionally and collegiately. We're going to talk this morning about some of the short and long-term effects of the pandemic on sports. We'll talk with our leaders from the Lions and the Detroit Pistons and discuss the prospects for the upcoming seasons for those two franchises. We'll also talk about the NCAA, the National Collegiate Athletic Association, and some of the changes and challenges that are lying ahead for that group. And then we'll also discuss the chances that Detroit might have in landing some of the big time events that are ongoing constantly. We'd love to have some of those back here in our city. So what I'd like to do right now is just introduce this panel. We'll start to my immediate left here. We have the principal owner and chairwoman of the Detroit Lions. Her name is Sheila Ford Hamp. Next, a very good friend of mine, and I've known him a very long time, dating back to my days when I played with, get this, San Diego Clippers. So it tells you how far I go back, but it tells you even how far the Arn goes back. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Tellem. He's the vice chairman of the Detroit Pistons and a very busy man in his 6 or 7 years since coming to the state of Michigan. Next, we have Diana Sabo, who's the deputy commissioner and chief sports officer with the Big Ten Conference. We want to give her a special welcome this morning because she's here in Spartan and Wolverine territory, coming over from the Ohio State Buckeyes. Okay. And a longtime friend, Mark Hollis, who's the former very successful athletic director at Michigan State University, my alma mater, of course. And right now he's the chairman of the Detroit Sports Organization Group. So welcome all of you and thank you. Sheila, we'll start with you. Your franchise, the Detroit Lions, are off to two-game start now, and while we're still looking for the first victory, which we know will come soon, what we are encouraged by is how the team is playing, how the team is gelling. You've got a new general manager, a new coach, a new quarterback. So talk about the prospects for the franchise.
Okay, well, thank you. Well, this, it's been a busy year. A lot has gone on. A lot still to do, but I'm very excited and pleased with our new coach and our new general manager. When I first took this seat, when my mom decided to step aside, I thought, I will only do this if I can kind of dig into why, the Lions have not been able to sustain success for the last 60 years. We've had our moments of glory, but not been able to sustain it.
She snuck that in.
So anyway, last year when I started to dig into things, I found out, first of all, that I felt like there was a big culture problem with the Lions, that we operate out of two buildings. Allen Park is where all our football operations happen, and then we have offices at Ford Field where most of our business operation occurs. And the two were not talking. The football was kind of over here, very secret. Nobody talked to football. And I thought, that's crazy. I mean, how in the world, A, do you sell tickets if you don't know what's going on in the football side? So that was kind of the beginning of digging into things. And then come Thanksgiving and our not so good game became obvious we had to make a change on the football side. So we moved on from our coach and general manager, and saw that as a real opportunity to bring some new leadership in. And I'm very close with our president, Rod Wood, and we work well together. We decided we did not need to hire a consultant. We could probably do this ourselves with some help. And first thing we did was realize we needed help on the football side. So we talked to former Lions great linebacker Chris Spielman, who was working for Fox Sports at the time, and we kind of described what we were thinking, that we really wanted to sort of encompass this whole thing and have a open, transparent, aligned organization where everyone feels important and that their job is honored. We like to call it One Pride. So anyway, Chris was intrigued with the whole culture idea. And so he came on board to help us. And it was tremendous help during the interview process. There were 4 of us. It was myself, Rod Wood, Chris, and then our salary cap guru, Mike Disner, who's also head of our vice president of our football operations. And so we got together many times before we even started the interview process and said, what are we really looking for? Obviously, football expertise was number 1, but really even more importantly, because we knew everyone we interviewed would be a football expert, was the culture fit. And actually, Chris hand wrote this scribble, which he scotch taped to his office wall, and said, what are we looking for? Culture, leadership were the 2 main things. And every time we interviewed somebody, which we interviewed 12 general manager candidates and 8 head coach candidates, so we had a lot of people. And every time we would regroup after the interview, and we'd say, that was a really terrific person. And Chris would always come back and say, yeah, that's a guy, but I don't think he's our guy. So, but when we interviewed Brad, we all agreed, this guy is great. And same with Dan. It was an agreement. And so for those 2, however, it was important that they work together. This was kind of an arranged marriage. So, fingers crossed that would work. It's worked beautifully. We think we have the right leadership now. We have a lot of work to do, but I really have all the faith in the world in them and the staff that they brought in, and how they work collaboratively is really a pleasure to observe. So I think we're on a good path. Let's put it that way.
Yes, we are. We certainly have our fingers crossed for the Lions. Arn, you have been, as I said, a very busy man from the moment you took over. Arn, for those of you who don't know, was one of the most influential sports agents, and not just basketball, but sports, and all of sports, that he left to come and work with the Detroit Pistons as their vice chair. He was very instrumental in bringing the team from Auburn Hills back downtown. There's plenty of excitement now around your team, your organization. Talk about that and where you think things are heading. I know you said that maybe for the first time in your 6 years here, you really feel excited.
No, 6 months I settled into, actually 6 years ago this month, I settled into Detroit. I arrived on the scene, and you're right, this is the best that I feel about where we're headed on the basketball side and the business side. Really it started with the move downtown and partnering with, I think the key to our success has been on the business side, really the partnerships we made. One with Olympia and the Illich family to move into Little Caesars Arena. 2 with Henry Ford Health System, which I thought was, one of our most critical partnerships to build our practice facility and headquarters and new center. And now 3, when we open up our new G League arena, was to move our G League affiliate from Grand Rapids to Detroit, which is going to open in a few weeks, which is a spectacular arena for Wayne State and for us. But on the basketball side in particular, much like what Sheila said, the reason I feel so good and why I'm so excited and optimistic about where we're headed now is that we have hope and direction, and it starts with the leadership. And having Troy Weaver as our general manager and Dwayne Casey as our head coach, I think we have 2 outstanding leaders. As far as I've known Dwayne when I was a player agent, going back 30 some years, when he used to work out, actually my rookies at St. Monica's High School in Santa Monica. and he is a terrific person and a leader. And the best thing about him, I think Troy said it perfectly, you would want your child to play for him. And that's how, and he can connect. And you saw last year with our young team how competitive we were every game. And I think with Troy, who I've also known a long time as a player agent, I mean, when he was at Oklahoma City, he drafted Russell Westbrook, who represented Steven Adams, Kendrick Perkins, so I had a long history with him over the years. And I think, again, similar to what Sheila said, for us, we have to build through the draft. There's no shortcuts here. And Troy knows talent, I think, better than anyone in the NBA. He deserved this opportunity to be a gem long before he got it here with the Pistons. I was always believed in him and was an advocate for him, and I'm thrilled that I was able to help him come here to Detroit. And he talks about restoring the franchise, and he changed dramatically the whole roster within a year. And what he wanted was like the old Pistons, and not that we're trying to recreate the bad boys or the going to work team, but it's that attitude. It starts with the attitude and the makeup of the player. Tough, competitive, leave it all on the floor. Work hard every day. And adding last year in the draft class, Saddiq Bey and Isaiah Stewart, and we believe Killian Hayes too, you have three guys that are super competitive, and it's amazing how hard those guys work and how dedicated they are. And Saddiq and Isaiah made the all-rookie team. Obviously, this year we got extremely lucky. We got the #1 pick. Adding Cade Cunningham, who fits into that mold, I think is going to just really take us to a whole nother level. He is mentally tough, competitive, big, strong, multi-positioned, incredible basketball IQ. And I think for this city also has the it quality. He gets it. He loves being here. He's all in on Detroit. And then we have obviously some key veterans like Jeremy Grant, who made the Olympic team, our first Olympian in a long time. So I think we feel really good about where we are. It's going to be an exciting season. We're not there yet. It's a young team, but we're well on our way now. I really feel good.
I want to ask you, Diana, in your new position as Deputy Commissioner in charge of and the Chief Sports Officer with the Big Ten Conference, what are some of the biggest challenges for your responsibility for the endeavor that you've embarked on? And talk about some of the changes that are happening at the NCAA office with players now being able to profit from their likeness, their image. Speak on gender equity, if you can, briefly.
Sure, briefly. Okay. Well, first, Greg, thank you. And thank you to Detroit Homecoming for this invitation. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. I'm excited to be in the state of Michigan because, as I've recently found out, over 586,363 Big Ten alums live in your great state. So what a humongous impact the Big Ten has made to the state of Michigan and Detroit. Right now, in my position, we are really center-focused on student-athlete health and welfare, how we can elevate their experience and make sure that they can have the opportunities that all students have across campus. For example, name, image, and likeness. You know, this probably took a little bit too long to come to fruition. It was clunky in the rollout, but we need to make sure that our student-athletes can benefit from this. This is something that is muchly needed for them, but we need to educate them. We need to make sure that profitability of their name, image, and likeness is done in a way that they know the tax implications. Maybe they could become their own LLC. Maybe they can start their own business successfully, but we need to make sure that we're protecting them from the bad actors as well, because as student athletes, they have a lot on their plate, and we want to make sure that they're focusing on the right elements at the right time. As far as gender equity goes in my role, I am working with our coaches every day, our sport administrators, our athletic directors, our chancellors and presidents at our 14 institutions. Academics has always been the cornerstone of excellence in the Big Ten. It's the foundational principles. And so balancing that with competitive excellence and graduation. How can we make sure that we're advancing the progress towards degree? Because we know education changes lives. It changes communities, it changes families. We've seen it in Detroit, we've seen it in Michigan, we've seen it in our surrounding Big Ten footprint, the importance of education. But then right now we have 6 Big Ten football teams in the top 20 and 2 from this footprint, right? So competing at an elite level is what the Big Ten is also known for. Within gender equity, of course, we're examining, and I'm examining in this new role, the opportunity for our 27 conference championships and tournaments, that we provide a level of equity for all of our sport programs, that we're elevating the experience for our student athletes, and we're proud of that. So there's a bit of an examination that we're doing right now, and we're just excited to keep moving that forward for our female programs and making sure that they're in alignment with what the males have achieved traditionally. Oh, thanks.
Mark, the thing that really illuminates on your resume during your 10-year stretch as athletic director at Michigan State was your innovative thinking and your ability to come up with the events like the Frozen Four that pitted Michigan State, outdoor hockey in the dead of winter, the basketball with Michigan State and Kentucky playing right down the street at Ford Field to open up one of the early seasons. Obviously, for me, the big thing, taking the Michigan State team out to San Diego to play on an aircraft carrier. Thankfully, there was an NBA strike at that time back in 2011 that allowed my wife and I to attend, and it was unbelievable, I have to tell you. How will those experiences help now in your role as the chairman of the Detroit Sports Organization Corporation as far as bringing events, huge events, big ticket events to the city of Detroit?
Well, first of all, as Coach Izzo would say, great events, we didn't win one of them. So, that's something to put in perspective. But first of all, thanks to Mary Kramer and everybody that's involved in putting Detroit Homecoming on. It's an opportunity for all of us that love this city to really be have a lot of pride, be expressive in what this city is all about. The one thing I really have to do here in Detroit is sell our city on a national scale. I do it in my job with Dan Gilbert, but I also get with Dave Beach now and Claude Molinari, is how do we bring people in and see this? And once they come here, it's really easy. So what we're doing is going through a structure on figuring out where is the value for Detroit residents, where is the value for residents and visitors to the city. You have to start with our 4 pro teams. And everything that we can do, don't take for granted what we have while we're pursuing something else. Everything that we do has to go into the success of those teams, the culture that's around them, things that attach. From there, you look at the things that Detroit has and how you can grow it and make it bigger. Things like the Grand Prix, things like the Rocket Mortgage Classic and other events that are annual. Then from there, we're looking for momentum, right? You need to create energy. You need to take the success that we've had in our history. We all remember the Ryder Cup Final Four and Super Bowl era. Times have changed since then. It's become much more of a concentrated urban collection of people, whether it's all-star games, the NFL draft, other things. So as the city's coming to life, Dan Gilbert has a great expression of, he used to walk the city and say that used to be, and now he says that's going to be. And you're seeing things just come to life over and over again, and that's the fun part. We have to get those basics aligned. We have to get those basics coming. People are looking at us that are in the decision room from the NFL on the draft. It'd be really good to get a Big Ten football or basketball championship here. And the job is easy because you're so passionate about the city. And I think it's just, Dave and his team and the entire sports organizing commission, Arn's on there, really spends a lot of time of going through what's the process, what's the cadence. Nothing great comes fast, nothing great comes easy. And the group has done so much work to put this together, but it's bigger than sports. It's how you connect sports, music, culture, cuisine, kind of bring it all together in a very robust way, and how we can work together and sort of get out of our silos a little bit as companies or as clubs, and kind of come together for the good of Detroit and deliver at a very high level.
Everywhere I go, and I'm sure all of you would probably echo this, everybody thinks that their city, their town's the greatest sports town with the best fans in the country. Certainly Detroit is one that boasts that. Sheila, I'd like you to just share with us your experience as far as the Detroit fan base, how they followed your team, and I can only imagine if the Lions were ever to get to the top, what would happen in this city. It would just be, you have to shut it down for a few days.
Well, that's our goal. But yes, you're right. Greg, our fans are amazing. You know, they've hung with us through thick and thin, a lot of thin, and they still come back, and they're always hopeful every year. And honestly, I feel like, we're on a great path, and I think we're maybe a year behind the Pistons. I think we're on almost parallel paths. You know, we've got a very, very young team this year. Our average age is 24. So, with a lot of upside. So it's going to take some time. And we have a slew of draft picks coming up in the next 2 years. So we're going to start building. And, I have all sorts of faith in Brad Holmes, our general manager, being a real spotter of talent, and Dan Campbell, our coach, who is really a player's coach. He's awesome. Players love him. I think we're going to do it, and we're 0-2, and there's excitement in the building. It's like, so that's kind of hard to pull off. But anyway, I think our fans are great. I think they're the best, and they've really hung tough with us. And the goal is to give them a winner. So.
Arna, of course, we don't know yet, and unless you can unveil something for us, but as far as fan participation, we know last year the Pistons and a lot of folks were very excited about the route that the team was taking in terms of getting back to respectability, being competitive, but with no fans in the building, obviously because of the pandemic. Would you call last year a success with that? And what are you expecting as far as fan participation this upcoming season?
It's a success that we were able to navigate through the circumstances. No one on our team or organization or anyone who attended the game got ill, and we were able to get through it. And I think the fans that watched it there or in the game saw how competitive we were, and how every game was a close game. We're excited now that this year we're expecting full fans in the building, and that's going to be huge to get them back in the arena. And Detroit is incredible. It's going to kill my family and friends back in Philly when I say this, but Detroit is an incredible sports town. If they would hear me saying this, they'll never believe it. But it is. It's a fantastic sports town. When the Pistons were rolling back with their last championship team, they set a record for continuous sellouts. And I remember I was representing Ben Wallace. I remember going to a lot of games then, and it was by far the loudest arena anywhere. The fans were so wound up. And for all the teams here, whether it's the Lions, who have had year in and year out incredible support, the Red Wings, the Tigers, the Pistons, University of Michigan, Michigan State, everyone here, the fans have really supported, and it means so much. And I think for all of us that sit here, especially for Sheila and myself, when we feel the pressure. Believe me, we've achieved a lot moving down here and with all our new facilities, but there is nothing more that's driving Tom Gores, myself, Dwayne Casey, and certainly Troy Weaver, than to put out a winner that the fans can be proud of and represent the city well. And all I ask is for a little bit more patience, because I do believe we're on our way and we're going to get there.
Just to share with you a little story as far as how passionate people are about their teams, and the patience that sometimes you have to have when following a team, the ups and downs. I couldn't have been more happier for Arn a few years ago. Arn being a Philadelphia guy, when the Eagles won their Super Bowl 3-4 years ago. This guy, you would have had to see him. I was so happy for him, but then I was a little bit envious too, because I'm like, you know what? We got a team here that hasn't won the Super Bowl.
So we're rooting for the Lions. So we're rolling on the Lions.
Yeah, we'll get there. But no, that was fantastic, yeah. And it was great to see. Again, it speaks to the power of sports and competition. Diana, you were fast tracking at the Ohio State University as a associate athletic director there. Everybody was thinking that maybe that's where you were going to end up as an athletic director at some prestigious university somewhere in the country, but then you went in a different direction and took this position that you have at the Big Ten office. What encouraged that decision? And number one. And number two, I want to ask you, as we talk about, the gender equity thing, are we going to see a mixed Final Four sometime in the future? But first, your decision to take this job.
So first, number one, I had the honor to be a campus practitioner for, I'm going to say a career, a lifetime at The Ohio State University, which came with many blessings of great people and great relationships. But through that, I became to be tremendously proud of the Big Ten Conference, proud of everything that it accomplished for the student athletes, for the membership, and just how it took sportsmanship and technology to the next level. So then an opportunity came to me that sometimes you don't know what your next step is in life, but you have to listen. And when you listen well, for my case, I just became more intrigued. And because I was a practicing athletics leader on campus that had been a part of the Big Ten Conference, it wasn't such a big leap for me because I knew a lot about it. And it felt like a natural fit, a natural extension of what I was meant to do, to lead at a new level, to make different decisions, and to really interface with campus leadership on educational values, and then also at elite competitions with our athletic directors. So it really just felt like the next right step for me, for our family. Maybe my daughter's still a little step behind. She's getting there. A move is hard for a 15-year-old, but it's been really fantastic. Really, I have the tremendous blessing of two incredible leaders in Commissioner Kevin Warren and Gene Smith, who truly believe in the power of diversity, equity, and inclusion, because without that, I would not be sitting here today. And so I'm very thankful for that, because that has helped elevate my presence in my career in college athletics. So thank you. So a combined basketball tournament. Wouldn't that be fun? I think that would be really fun. Of course, thank you, yeah. Of course, I can't speak for the NCAA. I can only speak at our conference level. I can tell you right now, we are elevating women's basketball and the presence that it has within our conference. We had a tremendous season, even during COVID and all of the challenges that it presented for our student athletes. We had a tremendous success in the tournament with women's basketball, and then we had the Coach of the Year and the Freshman of the Year as well. And so with that being said, we made the decision that we wanted to elevate women's basketball, the brand of women's basketball, and television for women's basketball in the Big Ten Conference. And we recently just posted this week a vice president position within the conference office to work specifically with women's basketball 365, with our coaches, with our leaders, with our senior women's administrators, and then of course with the NCAA and with professional basketball. So we hope that that is going to not only be noticed, but be challenged by others in other conferences, because we want Big Ten women's basketball to be premier and to be recognized by all. With that, we've decided that our basketball media days, which is traditionally an event that our men have had in person with the media, and our women for a long time have done online. This year, we're deciding to bring everyone together at Bankers Life Fieldhouse on the court. We're gonna have the men and the women have a joint event, put the coaches up simultaneously in front of the media at the podium for their press conferences, have the student athletes have the opportunity to intermingle and intertwine and develop friendships off the court, both the men and the women together, elevate their experience, really honor and value them as student athletes, and just create a new type of event with new synergies that is going to recognize their accomplishments, but also take a moment to say thank you. Yeah, thanks.
Mark, you mentioned that you feel it's important that sports franchises within a city collaborate, cooperate, support. Why is that important? And how can that be helpful in what you're trying to accomplish?
Well, first of all, we'll call it the double bubble. Put it in Ford Field, 2 courts, games going on at the same
See,
time.
there's that innovative thinking we talked about.
I think, okay. I think what you just said is true in any business, not just sports. It's so many times we get wrapped up in what's right in front of us that our focus is just on the Pistons or just on the Lions. Likewise in business, right? The more we can collaborate in Detroit, the more we have these kind of forums, talk, share ideas is important. I noted, backstage when Coach Casey went over to the Lions, and there's been many other examples of how invigorating that was for the whole city to see those 2 franchises on the field, laughing, talking about strategy, really sharing ideas. And as you get that down to the player level, all a player has to do is be that much better, and the team is going to elevate. You've been in the, you've been in the wars, and you've played. You're a national champion. a long career in the NBA, in broadcast. I'd throw something back at you of what do you think we need to do at Detroit, whether it's the Lions or the Pistons or the whole city, to kind of elevate the inches just a little bit, to become better as a sports town, to become better as individual clubs. I'm going to keep asking you this question, but if you have something real quick to share, I think it would be amazing coming from somebody that's been at the highest level.
Well, I think I always say you go as far as the players that you have and how good they are, and so much importance is placed on selecting players and character and leadership. I've been fortunate to be around. Playing for a national championship team in Michigan at Michigan State, we had those great players. We had one of the best players to ever play the game in Irvin Magic Johnson, but we had a lot of other guys who couldn't have won it with just Irvin and myself and Jay Benson, who all went to the NBA. But our support players, as Coach Heathcote used to like to say, are extremely important to the program and what you're building, and then having everybody on the same page as far as belief and work ethic and things of that nature. I can tell you through my association with the Detroit Pistons and being a part of, as a broadcaster, their 3 NBA championships, they had all those qualities. They had great leadership. They did an excellent job selecting players in the draft, trading players, signing free agents. Those things are critical. And then obviously, if you're able to put it together, stay healthy, have some luck and all of that, then it will happen. I can tell you this, though. I saw the Detroit response to the championships that the Pistons won. I saw the response when the Tigers won their championship, of course, the Red Wings, and I heard about what happened when the Lions won their last championship in 1957. So we want to see that all again very, very soon. I see they're asking me to wrap it up. Do you know what that means, everybody? So we're going to do that. We want to thank you all for being here, for sharing this time with us, and I want to thank this great panel and wish you all much, much success as you move forward. We certainly appreciate you and feel very fortunate to have you here in the city of Detroit.
Thank you very much.